said, there's so many instructions. There are just so many things written down, and at first it looks like, oh wow, it doesn't give you any room to do anything. But then I realized that, especially like page 8 and 9, I explained it in my Program Insight video. If some of our audience, if I've already watched it, it gives you the positions to play, and it even gives you the fingerings, but it doesn't actually give you what notes you should play. So I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the recording, my recording yet, but it's like it's basically sort of like doodling around, but like there's one passage that's about like 1 minute or so.
And is that instructed?
It is instructed, yes. It
So
says,
how is it instructed in words?
It says, no, it's, okay, it says as many notes as you can play, and it says as fast as you can play. So it doesn't actually say what notes you should play. It gives you the fingers, it gives you the positions.
Oh, I see, okay.
But it's just like whatever you play. You can play sharp, you can play flat, as long as it's so fast and as many notes as possible. It just serves the purpose of that passage. And also another section prior to this page, I think, there are patterns. So it gives you like first pattern, second pattern, up to 6 patterns. And then first it asks you to play the music asks you to play those patterns in the order from 1 to 6. But then it says play those patterns in any order you want, but it needs to take, let's say, 20 seconds. So you can just play them as, in any order you want, but it needs to take 20 seconds. So you can shuffle around, you can do whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. So that's why I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really great. And then, the other piece that we played together, short piece by Max Richter, like Mercy, right? I'm sure that was also first time playing like Max Richter's music for you, right?
Yeah, I know.
And then the fact that Berio, can you tell, like when you're playing that, like that Max Richter studied with Berio? Because that's like totally different, of course, use of like compositional technique altogether, of course. But don't you think, for me, there's this kind of sound world, like, because Berio is so much about the sound, right? It's the effect that he gets out of violin or piano, like the sound has like so much imagination. And I feel that with Max Richter. What do you feel about that? Mercy.
It's a very different perspective, of course. But I think in core of that composition, both of those compositions, like you said, relies on the sound effects and producing the effects rather than the notes. So I think you're right in that sense. Let's not forget this. Mercy was actually commissioned by Hilary Hahn, so it's a very like modern violinist. So but Luciano Berio was when he composed this sequenza, it was composed for a totally different reason. So it wasn't for a violinist to play among those other encore pieces like Hilary did. But I think in the core, you're right. I think both rely on different sound effects.
And can you tell though that Max Richter studied with Berio at all? Like, if you didn't know, you wouldn't imagine.
I wouldn't imagine, no.
Yeah, I find that very interesting,
Very interesting indeed.
But I also find though in Max Richter's music, even though they are, of course, much more compact and for very different purposes, because they are for like TV, and Hilary Hahn, of course, commissioned it and she played in her concerts and she recorded it and everything. But what do you think, like the kind of atmosphere, the color of his piece, like Mercy, is? Like, how do you feel about like the atmosphere it creates?
Yeah, it's a very still atmosphere, as if like you look at your like one, like it made me feel like I was looking at my own life, like if I was at the age of 80 or like 90, sort of like towards the end of my life, like looking back, like a flashback to my life. But from a really still point of view, like I've experienced everything. Now I'm really mature. Like now I'm looking at my life and like going, forward in my eyes. And I think it's a very different experience, but technically very difficult.
It's surprising, right?
It's so difficult. Like those passage work. I mean, it's slow, but intonation four
Yeah.
flats. Very difficult work. But I
But
love
I
it.
think it's a beautiful use of violin color, you know, because I don't think any instrument can replace in Mercy the part the violin plays. It's so telling, the violin voice in that. I love that, you know, because I'm just
Yeah,
playing chords, but this like violin voice that keeps going, but then it like develops, like, I mean, still slow, but it's faster, and that
yeah,
kind of like inner like excitement is,
yeah.
and so human in a way, like it sounds like a voice, but a violin voice. I love that. So
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think this program is kind of, you know, not as scary as it, you know, seems to listen to, and it's definitely exciting. I'm so excited to listen to your sequencer as a whole piece.
Yeah, I'm excited to listen to your
Yeah.
pieces too. I know it's
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually, I mean, you always prepare our programs, right? Our repertoire. I think so far this one has been like the highlight of Music in the Air so far. I mean, great job,
Yeah.
really. I mean, to give you lots of credit for that. It's a very interesting niche, a very interesting connection
Yeah, I think it's a
to really
connection
follow.
that
Yeah,
is sort of fresh, right? It's not something we would just sit and think about, like, you know. And of course, it's great to play like whole Beethoven program as well. That was really nice. But this one is like, oh, we have Paul McCartney, like, why? We have Max Richter, why? But then we have like two substantial like burial works. And
yeah.
very contrasting, because actually my pieces, so mine's like set of pieces, so it's written, you know, in a like large time frame, but some of them are like even way later than your sequenza, because yours is kind of earlier work,
Yeah,
surprisingly, and it's so, you know, challenging and daring. And mine's more, there are certain techniques on the piano that it's different, let's say, like very challenging, but it's more conservative. Like, there are things that I do as sound effects that are, you know, it's mine's fully notated. So
Yeah.
I am playing what's in the score. I'm not creating. So it's interesting that he made his composition styles, like even around the same time, is so different. He was like experimenting on one hand, but also writing like more conservative style at the same time.
That's
That's
true.
really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I think that the reason why that sequenza, it's also among the other sequenza, it stands in a completed. It stands out in a different area, different place. But I think when I was reading Berio's own words about this sequenza, he was mentioning that he played the violin against his will somehow,
Oh, wow,
and and then either his father or, like, you know, one of the parents sort of forced him to do, and he, you know, he used the word tormented when, you know, so really, like, you know, talking about his time with the violin, learning the violin early years. He's using like rather tormented feelings. So I mean, I don't know if it has anything to do with this sequenza, but like there
maybe
is
because
definitely,
it has that kind of more like a tormented character, because my pieces are very mine represents the four elements, you know, the water, earth, and air, and fire. So they're of course contrasting, but like, for example, in the water and earth, they are very kind of grand and quiet, you know, they're very still. So but your piece definitely sounds more tormented.
I think that's the right word to use, and I'm sure
the parts of the recording I watched of yours, you have really big eyes.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Eyes, like ever, like really focused.
Yeah, I was getting tormented like Berio said. No, I'm joking. No, I really enjoyed it. It was really
no,
nice
it's
piece.
really exciting. So I'm so excited to hear this. But actually, where is Jason?
Jason's joining us, right?
Jason, are you here now? We are waiting for Jason to join us, but I'm not seeing the request.
Yeah, maybe I can write to him on a different platform.
Really good.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the weather like over there?
Well, it's like.
Well, Jason is there. He's waving. Yeah. Jason, you need to send me a request.
Yes, Jason said I will be right now. Okay, he's already here.
Does he know how to request?
Well, I taught him once.
Jason, you need to send me a request, please.
But I think you can also invite him, no?
I don't think so. Can I? I don't think I can.
I think go through
No,
on the
I can
right-hand corner.
report him, but I
Oh,
can't.
we don't want that, do we? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
really strange. But is it still warm there in Turkey?
No, it's 20 Celsius, so it's it's quite so it's
That's
like it's not really
cold,
warm.
no?
Yeah. Yes, Jason. Yes, you can. Jason, you can send a request. Oh, Jason said it's requested already.
I don't see it though. It's not.
Maybe I should leave and maybe he can come that way.
Really? I don't know. Okay, let's try.
Let's try.
All right. Well, then I hope I'm not going to be left alone here.
Yeah, okay.
Joining.
All right. If
And I hope
you're
you can
alone,
all-
I'll join again.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Emre.
Nice talking to you. Bye. Bye.
Okay, let's hope Jason can join us. Jason. Here.
Hey, Miki.
Hi, Jason.
Sorry
We
about
had
that.
some difficulties. We were not sure what the problem was. How are
Yeah.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And
Yeah.
tell us where you are today.
Oh, I'm in Rochester. I
Yeah,
just got
Rochester, New York,
my I
right?
just got my flu shot this morning.
Flu shot. Wow, you're
Yeah.
very busy. Wow. So tell us how's the process for our Saturday's concert going? Because you have the most work. As you know, always. These are the hardest days.
Yeah, this week is a bit intense. I'm still in the middle of the process of editing the videos
Okay,
for our
great.
concert, but everything is on schedule, and we should have a good concert on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we're
all the
really
recordings.
excited.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
did a very good job in all the recordings. It
Yeah.
sounded really good. Yeah.
And yeah, this concert is again on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, apparently 9 p.m. in Turkey. So I guess it's like 8 p.m. European time. It's really difficult to remember all this stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, so in the program this time, you're not playing any Burial pieces, I know. But, we do have this program that's like based on Burial and then like his influences. So we with Paul McCartney, which is the piece I'm playing for solo piano. And then we have Max Richter. And not to forget, we have George Ligety's pieces, very short pieces for, originally one of the pieces actually for 2 violins, right? And the other one is for cello and violin. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm not part of that, so I would like to hear a little bit
So
about those pieces.
Yeah, sure. So these 2 Ligeti pieces are composed far apart from Ligeti's career. The 2 violin duo was composed in his early career, I think when he was 18 or 19-year old. And the other piece was written as a birthday gift to his colleague almost 30 years after he wrote the first piece. But, in the Program Insights video, I talked about Ligeti's career as a composer. He did a lot of different experiments in electronic music. And you can hear his string quartet, some symphonic works, especially the vocal pieces, a lot of influence from electronic sound. And he tried to use every instrument, including a voice, as much as possible to imitate those kind of sound. That's why people find Ligeti's music sometimes is hard to understand, because it's totally a different language, because the vocabulary is not something we usually hear in our daily life. It's something more like surreal or like alien kind of sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
But would you say Burial, so Burial and Ligeti, they were like contemporaries, right? They even studied some point together. So would you say their music is very different? Because Burial, as I understand, also experimented with human voice and electronic music. Could you kind of compare the 2 at all?
Yeah, well, I would say there are a lot of similarity, but each composer, both Burial and Ligeti, they took a very different approach. I will say the Ligeti's music is more connected with folk music.
Okay.
And you can feel it's much more earthy, peasant kind. And but Burial's music, I don't know, it's I didn't play these the sequenza or any of the cello pieces, but I feel like his music's more focused on the traditional path of the complex of the harmonies and the rhythm. And you can hear that in the sequenza and also your encore pieces. And if you listen to Max Richter, his students' work, and you hear the continuation of that kind of tradition. It's just Burial's music is so complex, and Max Richter took the other extreme, make it so simple, almost like repetitive, right? But both has the harmonic structure based on the foundation. Yeah.
And how about Ligeti's students? Do you happen to know anyone who studied with Ligeti?
That I don't, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think that?
Yeah, but going back to the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Let's go back to the pieces, the string.
Yeah. So the string duo, the early one, it's very clear that was influenced by Bartók. It seems like Ligeti had chance to either study with Bartók or study Bartók's research on the Hungarian and Romanian folk music. And I found some recordings that Bartók recorded, the peasant sounds and the folk music, folk dance music, and it sounds identical to the two violin duos. And the one composed later, you still hear those kind of folk dance the movement in the music, but the harmony and the counterpoint is a little bit more grotesque, because I guess that it was the influence from his study of the electronic music and the contemporary music. But okay. Deeply inside of the music, the spirit of music, I think, is still very folky.
Okay, that's nice. What do you think was the fascination over electronic music was? Because I understand also how Paul McCartney got very interested in knowing music of Burial, and also actually Stockhausen's music was the electronic kind of effects, right? Even the Beatles in the sort of 60s, they were interested in how these composers were using that. So why do you think that fascination came about?
Well, when you look into history in the 40s, 50s, 60s, a lot of things happened. The world became totally different from years before that. And especially after Second World War, everyone starts reviewing who we really are and what's our future. And in classical music, the same thing. In the 50s, a lot of opera houses, concert halls, they're experiencing reduced number of audience, and people tend to like the pop music, rocks, much better than the classical music. And everyone's trying so hard to save the classical music market. And people are asking, so what's our future? And a lot of musicians and composers, they're trying to figure out, what's a different possibility to write new music. And one option is the electronic music, because in those labs, when they were doing experiment, they find out, there's so many possibilities, like in terms of sound, and those sounds were not possible to find in any kind of instrument. So certainly, there were a lot of people trying many different things, and some people, they push that too far. But you're looking at the past 30 years, things are getting back. I mean, you're seeing a music written more, simple, had more beautiful melody. Even Stravinsky said, in his early career, he thinks the most essential element in any kind of composition is melody. And then later in his career, he experimented a lot of different things. Some of stuff considered as very modern, but at the end of his career, he brings back those melodies that no one can forget after you hear once. So I think, at that time in the 60s, 70s, 80s, people were just experimenting a different way to express themselves, but the message they put in the music is still the same as who they were 20, 30, 40 years before.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I find, though, I don't know if you share this opinion about this program we are playing on Saturday. I don't find any of the pieces on this program actually is melodic this time. Not to say they're not beautiful, but none of them is melodic, right? Which is kind of fascinating because it relates these composers together. I mean, out of the four, I think the Ligeti, the duos are a little more sort of melodic in a way. Would you agree? But like even Max Richter's music is not exactly melodic, right? There's no like significant theme that you relate to either of the pieces that we have on the program. None of my burial pieces are thematic actually, and Emery's burial sequence definitely is not, with a melody line. So, and even with Paul McCartney, it's interesting. I think this classical style piano piece that he wrote is not necessarily melodic. It has a lot of like motives and that you recognize, but it's definitely not like a melody. It's not like from a song. So it's a really interesting way of approaching music, even though they come from such different times and fields of music. But I think this combination is quite exciting to listen to back, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. How is it when
definitely.
you're putting together these like recordings together? Because this is your massive job of videos, audios, all this. Like because you naturally hear them, right? You're hearing music. So how does it feel?
The privilege for me to editing those videos, I get a chance to listen to everything before the concert and listen to these recordings over and over again as I'm editing the video. And I want to go from the Max Richter piece because that's I would say the most simple one in our program. Certainly, one of the most accessible piece for our audience. And I will treat the experience of listening to Max Richter's pieces as taking it's like a mental exercise. You're going through a journey, or you're just sitting there and try to calm down and really be aware of your surroundings, that kind of meditation. And compare that with Burial. Burial's music is very busy. There are a lot of things going on, but in your encore pieces, those 4 movements you play, in each movement, the atmosphere is pretty much the same. It doesn't really change that much, right? Like the one I really like is the earth. You hear the pedal tones. In some of the notes, although you repeat these notes, but you always hear the notes hanging there, and that kind of atmosphere, you can really sit there and listen and try to understand what's the real message of it. And I think that's kind of tradition that Burial passed to Max Richter. It's just these two are extremely different, but the spirit is very similar. And then you look at Ligeti. It's of course it's very different. It seems like there are some more interesting melodies that people can recognize as a melody, but the earthy spirit, that's the main character in those 2 pieces, and you always hear that through the whole thing, the 4 minutes or the 2 minutes length, and that's very consistent. So I think sometimes for the listener, they got scared with so many notes or so many random notes, and then forgot to focus on what's the message behind all these different colors, different figures. And if sometimes it just takes a couple minutes, maybe 30 seconds, just to pull you away from this busy stuff and to try to figure out, looking at this as a whole picture. Just like looking at the mosaic, there's so many little pieces. If you look too closely, you see all these different shape of little stones, different colors. And the other day I was talking with one of my friends about this program, and I made a metaphor of the pointillism painting. If you look so closely, you just look at blue and red dots, it doesn't make any sense. But if you move away from the painting, all of a sudden you see beautiful purple. That's kind of the trick you can play when you listen to those music and try to understand those.
Yeah. So this is really exciting. We have to stop soon, but on Saturday, so at 1:15, we have pre-concert talk as always. And we do have a special surprise
Yeah.
guest coming to talk. So I think that's going to be really fun if you can join us. And then the concert follows like directly after at 2 p.m. And you can find out about this concert. There are videos on YouTube and then also on our Instagram page. And also you can look at the ticket information on our website. So I hope you can all join because this is really, I think this programming was really fun to make and we do want as many people to join us. And then especially the sequenza, we are all excited to really hear that because that's such a huge piece. So thank you.
And one more thing, yeah, before the Saturday
okay.
concert, we have one more program insights video talking about the sequenza
That's
number 8
true.
for
That's
both. Yeah.
tomorrow, right? It's going to premiere
Yes.
tomorrow. That's Emery talking about the violin sequenza at 1:45 p.m. Eastern time. So that is 8:45 p.m. in Turkey. Right? So yeah, that's true. That's the last program insights video coming up this week before the concert. So we really hope you can join us on Saturday. And Jason, good luck with the rest of the editing, and we'll be supporting you from far.
Thanks. All right, see you
Okay,
guys.
thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.